Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Surina Taneja, I'm a junior doctor and I like making these videos in my spare time, so thank you so much for joining me. I've been vegan for 4 years now and I've lived to tell the tale. My iron levels are thriving, my taste buds still have standards, and the animals, they love me. However, I know it's a big change for many and one that may seem very difficult, especially at the start, and it definitely was for me. So I thought with Veganuary kicking off this month, I would share my top 10 tips that I've gained from my experiences. The last two are definitely the most important, so stick around for those, or if you're short on time, just skip through to the relevant bits using the timestamps in the description below. Without further ado, let's jump into my top 10 tips. Number 1 is to do it with someone. As with most good things in life, they are always more enjoyable if you take someone along with you for the ride. If you are living with other people, such as family or flatmates or a significant other, then it can often be difficult to barge in with a new diet if there are still temptations of animal products around you, or just general bad vibes from other people close to you as you try and make this change. I know it isn't possible for everyone, but if you can rope someone in to do Veganuary with you, it'll make it a lot more easier to do and a lot more fun as well. I was very lucky that I did Veganuary in 2018 with my mum and my partner, so we had a lot of fun encouraging each other, trying new recipes and new places to eat out. If you haven't got anyone in your life who might be open to doing it with you, then the online world is an incredible place to look. There are so many communities and forums where people are bonding over plant-based eating. You can literally search vegans of London or vegans in Brisbane or whatever area you're in, and I'm sure you'll find a group of like-minded individuals that you can connect with and encourage each other along the journey as well. Number 2, find inspiration. As well as finding people to inspire you, you also need lots of inspiration for the recipes that you're going to be cooking and eating. I still use social media on a weekly basis to help me plan my recipes. Instagram accounts that I follow and recommend are The Food Medic, Healthy Chef Steph, A Vegan Richer, Fit Green Mind, Vegan Recipe Video, and so many more that I'm sure you'll find along the way. There are Instagram accounts telling you about vegan products in your local supermarkets. So in Australia, I'm following Vegan Deals Australia, Accidentally Vegan Australia, and in the UK, I was following their UK counterparts. So you can see what's available in your local grocery stores and get inspiration for your weekly shops. There are also Instagram accounts by foodfluencers who are sampling all the local vegan restaurants in a certain city or certain area. Best job ever. And they can give you lots of inspiration of where to eat out. I follow the Little London Vegan and I used to go to tons and tons of her recommendations in London. It made it so much easier to pick places to eat out. It's honestly too easy to find ideas and inspiration these days, and I guarantee you'll discover restaurants and foods that you absolutely love and wouldn't have otherwise tried. Number 3 is to stock up. You wouldn't go camping without camping gear or skiing without your ski gear, and similarly I wouldn't recommend trying Veganuary or turning plant-based for the first time without making sure you've got the right stock and lots of plant-based goodies in your kitchen. I guarantee the majority of what I eat you'll already have in your kitchen if you've been grocery shopping anytime in the last few weeks. So all your rices, pastas, grains, legumes, fruit, vegetable, you'll have all of that. But I definitely recommend doing a focused stock up during Veganuary. For a full recommendation on what I keep stocked up, make sure to check out my YouTube video that I released a year ago, which goes through most things that I get on my weekly shop and keep stocked up in my kitchen at any one time. Number 4, find replacements for your basics and favorites. If you are doing Veganuary for the first time or after a long time of not being plant-based, then I really recommend your grocery shop focusing on all your basic foods and your favorite foods. I will never stop saying this, but no diet, including a plant-based diet, should ever feel restrictive. I remember waking up on January the 1st in 2018 and going to have my normal everyday breakfast that I've been having for years and years before that, which was just cereal and milk. I wasn't a very exciting breakfaster back in the day. And I opened the fridge and there was obviously only dairy milk there, and I realized I couldn't have my normal breakfast. And I immediately felt so restricted and recoiled and felt like it was a really bad idea and not very sustainable to go plant-based. Obviously later on that day, I went to the supermarkets and discovered soya milk, oat milk and almond milk, and the rest was history. But the initial shock was very bewildering, and it's not a feeling that I would have liked to have for very much longer. These days we are absolutely inundated with direct replacements, with burgers, sausages, dairy-free ice creams, creams, biscuits, chocolates. And whilst I definitely advocate for loving vegan food for what it truly is at its heart, which are beautifully colourful, fragrant and flavourful vegetables and fruits, there is definitely still a place in my heart for all the comfort foods that I still love to this day. So I've got a massive sweet tooth, so I've got the salted caramel magnums in my freezer. I've always got a bar of dark chocolate on the go. My freezer always has some of the meaty plant-based burgers, which again I don't eat very often, but if we're having a barbecue, which we have a lot of in Australia, I want to be able to join in with that grilled meat kind of flavour. So I like having those there as well, because the social part of food is a big part of food and something that I don't think you should stop enjoying or taking part in just because you don't eat animal products anymore. Number 5 is to plan ahead and meal prep. I think meal prepping is great no matter what diet you're on. It means you'll probably make healthier meals in quantities that will satisfy you, and it's probably a lot cheaper in the long run as well. With plant-based eating, I advocate for it even more because you might not always find totally fulfilling options when you're out and about. I find restaurants these days are absolutely excellent for having good vegan choices, but things like hospital canteens at work, fast food on the high street, things that you want quickly out and about, they're not always quite there. If you don't really like the idea of cooking from scratch, there are some subscription services that can send you recipes and all the ingredients you need right to your doorstep. This year I tried HelloFresh for the first time and was really happy to see that they've got way more vegan choices than they ever did a few years ago when I first looked into them. I know as well as HelloFresh there's lots of other brands. They can be a bit pricey, but they do so many introductory offers and refer a friend offers, so through that I think you can get a really good deal, and it's such a good way to give your plant-based eating habits and repertoire a bit of a boost. Number 6 is do not omit without replacing. If you previously ate animal products, as I did, then there is a big chance that it made up a big portion of your food intake and therefore your calorie intake. With a plant-based diet, the foods are much less calorie dense, and so you need to replace the food group that you've omitted with more food from the food groups that you still eat. So for example, if you usually ate one chicken fajita and now you're eating a scrambled tofu and chickpea fajita, what a very specific example, then perhaps instead of one fajita, you're going to now need 2 just to feel full. It doesn't mean you're overeating or filling yourself up unnecessarily. You will just need bigger quantities to meet that calorie requirement your body needs and to feel full as well. A big mistake many make at the beginning is removing the meat part of their meal and then just carrying on with what's left without replacing it, and then obviously feeling hungry, which is not a sustainable emotion to achieve anything, let alone sticking to a plant-based diet, so we need to avoid that outcome under all circumstances. This extends beyond meals as well. If at work you're used to having a snack between breakfast and lunch, but you find that the cereal bar you usually eat is not vegan, then don't just remove it and hope for the best. Make sure you're replacing it with something else, either a direct replacement like we just spoke about, so a vegan protein bar or cereal bar, or find something else like a smoothie or some fruit, some rice cakes, pita and hummus, vegan biscuits, crisps, popcorn. Okay, now I'm getting hungry. Number 7 is to get restaurant savvy. I know the social side of eating is something that rightly worries a lot of people. We eat out a lot for celebrations, for catching up with friends, and you don't want to feel like you're missing out there. My top tip for this would be to obviously choose the restaurant yourself. You can choose somewhere that has a good vegan menu, which tons and tons of restaurants do, especially in the bigger cities. Or even better, take your family and friends to a vegan restaurant, and 9 times out of 10 I know they will be really surprised by how much they like the dish. However, if you find yourself at a restaurant which doesn't have great options, then something I've done a few times is to just ask the waiter or the chef if they can make you something based on their current menu, but just take certain animal products out. But then do make sure again you are supplementing it with maybe a few extra sides or something. or you can even use 3 or 4 sides to create your own meal. I know sometimes I've got some sort of rice or chips from the sides, then some grilled vegetables, then added a side soup and a side salad, and it's become a sort of meal that will fill me up and taste fairly decent. One tip that is very close to my heart is do not settle for just a salad. And by that I mean one of those, little side salads that's not actually an own meal in its own right. There is always something you can do. Don't be afraid to discuss it with a chef or waiter. Number 8, consider supplementation and micronutrients. This isn't a huge concern if you're just doing Veganuary for the 1 month or you haven't been vegan very long. But if it's something you want to carry on into the future, then there's a few things, not too many, that you need to consider. First and foremost is B12. This is one vitamin that you cannot get from anywhere else apart from animal products. Thankfully, lots of vegan foods now are fortified with it, so milks, cereals, nutritional yeast have got B12 in them, but it's a little bit unreliable, and so therefore I do take a supplement every day, or try and take the supplement every day. So if it is just a short-term or partial change that you're making, then it's not something you need to worry about too much. Something that I would pay attention to, even if it's only a short-term change, would be to make sure you're getting enough iron in your diet. Iron is also found in animal products and meats, but thankfully it's found in tons and tons of vegan foods as well. So all your leafy green vegetables, legumes, beans and nuts are great sources of iron. Luckily, it's very easy to integrate into your diet. You only need to have cooked a bag of spinach once to watch a whole bag shrivel up into the size of a tablespoon basically, and you can put that in most of your meals and not even realize that much spinach is in there. So that's what I tend to do, but all those other sources as well that I've mentioned are really good sources. If you are considering switching to a plant-based diet for the long haul, I would definitely recommend getting some expert advice from a dietitian or nutritionist. Number 9, very, very important to me, and that is not to feel you have to be 100% vegan. If you find yourself with a craving or in a situation with no other options apart from a non-vegan one, then just go and have it. Otherwise, you might go hungry, you might miss out on a situation that you wanted to be a part of. Then you will begin to associate this diet with negativity or being hungry or missing out. Then you're more likely to veer away from it and justify why it isn't worth your time anymore. And that is the last thing I want you to get from this. I want you to associate this month and this diet with freshness, color, experimentation, compassion for animals and for the planet, and fun. And if anything threatens that outlook, then just have a time out. Come back to it for your next meal or the next day. 4 years on and I still live like this. I've had a cheeky slice of cake if there's a birthday at work and I want to be part of the celebration. I've had a slice of pizza with cheese on it after a night out because I've been too incapacitated to think it through very much. But whatever, it's fine. I don't believe we should define ourselves by our diet, but more with the values that we resonate with. I don't like saying I'm a vegan, but I will very happily say that I'm a person who has compassion for our planet and all the beings on it. Therefore, if the net output of my actions align with those values, then I'm content. And I'm not getting bogged down in single actions or micro decisions or feeling like the need to justify myself or label myself just for the sake of others. This isn't just a diet, it's an expression of values that are close to you, and any change in that direction is a change in the right direction for you. Number 10 is find your why. This is the most important point in my opinion. We are very unlikely to stick to anything, be that fitness related goals or work related goals, unless you've clearly defined what your why is, and that requires educating yourself. Generally speaking, there are 3 big reasons that people quote most often as their reason for turning to a plant-based diet. Not in order of how often they're quoted. Number 1 is health. And I don't really subscribe to this. I don't believe that any one diet can be healthy or not healthy. It's a lot more complex than that. It is about the balance that you achieve within that diet, be that literally making sure you're getting all the nutrients and calories that you need, and mentally with your relationship with your food and diet, avoiding restrictive and binging behaviors. So I don't think just by going plant-based you're going to become healthy by any means. However, if on a superficial level, the idea of eating loads more fruits and vegetables, and believe me, you will, your fiber intake is going to skyrocket and your bowels are going to have quite a party. If that increased intake is something you're looking to incorporate and something that appeals to you from a health perspective, then all the more power to you. The other two reasons is for the animals and for the planet. There are several ways to learn more about this. Initially, you might come across a lot of documentaries that people have watched or recommended. There are lots on Netflix. There is Cowspiracy, What the Health, Game Changers, and actually I've not watched any of them. From what I understand and have heard, they seem to be quite emotive and play a lot on the shock factor side of things. And I don't believe in manipulating this part of your brain to make you take big decisions such as your diet. I'm a very science-driven, evidence-based kind of person, both personally and of course professionally. So facts and figures and data is what keeps me really grounded and resonates with me the most. Although the emotional toil of seeing animals suffering and the planet under extreme destruction is very, very powerful and shouldn't be undermined, those images will honestly only take me so far, and sooner or later I will start questioning my why once again, so I definitely need something a bit more robust to keep me going. There have been some really pivotal studies done about the environmental impact of a plant-based diet versus other diets. There was a key study from the University of Oxford that came out in 2018. I believe they looked into almost 40,000 farms. They compared 40 or 50 major food groups and worked out what their environmental impact was in terms of water, land, CO2 emissions. And they had some really significant findings in showing just how much a plant-based diet can benefit the environment. I know scientific data and papers aren't very accessible, so I really do want to break down resources like that a bit more, possibly on this channel. So definitely subscribe if you want to hear a bit more about that, and I'll also link that paper down below. In terms of the animal suffering side of things, I'm also reading this book called Eating Animals. Let me just go get it. Oh, my leg's gone to sleep. I can't feel my feet. Oh my god. Oh, that was such a bizarre sensation. So this is a book I tried to read a while ago by Jonathan Poore, Eating Animals, and he's basically done a deep dive into how animals are treated. He's looked into tons of farms, actually gone there himself. He's read lots and lots of papers, which are all referenced at the back. I'm hoping to summarize this and break this down as well. A very accessible resource that I think is a really good resource for both environmental and animal consequences of eating animal produce is an Instagram account by Earthling Ed. Ed is a vegan activist, but not in a preachy way that would turn even me off. He is very eloquent, very soft-spoken, very calm, and his content is absolutely brilliant for just saying it how it is, and his story is very relatable, going from someone who, like me, used to eat a lot of meat, discovered things, and is just sharing things along that journey with other people. I can't tell you what will work for you, but hopefully I've given you quite a few resources that can help you find your why. It's lifelong learning, so even for me, all these years later, I'm still accessing these resources again and again. In the current world we live in, surrounded by so much choice, so lots of people questioning you, even being offended by your diet, starting arguments with you, you have to be able to continually justify yourself, not only to them and for their sake, but also to yourself to remind yourself why you're doing what you are. Because it really just helps change your mindset to saying, sorry, I can't eat that, to sorry, I don't want to eat that. So that is everything for me. Whether you're doing this for a month, for longer, whether you're just making one change a week, one dish a day, wherever you are on this plant-based spectrum, I wish you all the best. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for having an open mind. We'd love to hear how you're getting on, or if you have any questions, so please do comment below, and I look forward to talking to you guys. See you next time, and goodbye.